Good morning or good evening, as the case may be, for all of you viewers of Agenda. I'm Cito Beltran. Welcome to the program, and you are watching us via Signal TV channels 8 or 250, and others may be watching us via facebook.com/onenewsph or on YouTube, One News PH. Thank you for joining us today. And today, our topic will largely focus on food security, food prices, and rehabilitating the industries related to food. Kasi po, bagamat hindi pa siya hume-headline masyado, na alarma na. A lot of people are, quietly alarmed. Well, I don't know, parang oxymoron, But marami po mga authorities ngayon, bagamat hindi nila binabanggit or they're not highlighting it, they are alarmed by the very high prices of food, not just of pork, but of other commodities. And the debate is now beginning to start, or is now beginning, concerning what is the right solution. Is it importation? Is it price control? Is it subsidies, etc.? So we will discuss that. And in order to tackle that, we invited people representing the various sectors. First of all, we will speak with Congressman Carlo Zarate of Bayan Muna Party List, because he is one of the first to speak on this, na parang we need to do something. And what exactly do we need to do? And after that, we will speak with Mr. Rosendo So, chairman ng Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura or SINAG. Mr. So has often been the voice regarding itong foods supply, particularly hog prices or pork prices. And then, last but not the least, we will also speak to Mr. Jesus Cham, President of the Meat Importers and Traders Association, especially now that the government has put on emergency measures. Pinalaki nila yung allowed importation. But from what I understand, the importers are pushing for tax-free. And I am inclined to support all three gentlemen, kasi parang ang nangyayari po, and I don't want to editorialize before the program starts, but here's the deal. Everyone is taking a hit. The consumers, yung mamamili, nagbabayad ng mataas. Yung mga magbababoy, dapa na dahil sa ASF, and yung magugulay, hindi masyadong makabiyahe ng maayos dahil maraming checkpoints, maraming protocols, etc. And yung mga importers naman, bayad ng buwis kaliwat kanan. And yet you have to ask, what sacrifice is the government doing for its part? Parang kumakabig kayo sa mga taxes, naglalabas kayo ng policy, pero do you have a real program, not just a stopgap or emergency measure? We will speak to the persons in concern regarding all of this. In the meantime, let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star. After President Duterte reversed the order to allow children 10 years old and above to leave their homes, the Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, is now focusing on improved protocol compliance among businesses to attract more patrons. Okay, kumbaga, sila na ngayon yung sisilip doon sa mga iba-ibang establishments. And hey, that's welcome, pero trabaho pa ba yan ng DTI? Is that still the responsibility of the DTI? Shouldn't that fall under business owners, under the DILG, and the local government units? Kasi like here in Pasig, alam ko po, nagko-comply ang marami kasi they themselves will say, here in Pasig, if you are caught, you get closed. Simple. Caught equals closed. Okay? Anyway, I do hope that people figure out what their jobs are, because I would rather that the DTI concentrated on the industries, on trade, and not on the daily problems of price control and monitoring of establishments. Parang Problema pa ba nila yun? In any case, the president insisted that there is no corruption in the pricing of vaccines. President Duterte also accused critics of muddling the issue, referring to their claims that their vigilance prevented corruption in vaccine procurement. In a manner of speaking, or in some way, I agree with the president, kasi ang sa akin lang po dito, ano ba talaga yung issue natin at the start? Our overall general concern was the efficacy of the Sinovac vaccine, 'di ba? Yung pinupush ng government, yung gumawa sila ng usapan sa China, Chinese company. And ang naging issue was, safe ba yan? Maayos ba yan? Transparent ba sila? Because they had not submitted documents, they had not done clinical trials in the Philippines, and then they did trials in Brazil, and they were only 50.1 something ang efficacy. Ba't tayo nauwi na naman sa corruption? In that sense, parang, can we just get the politics and the allegations until we have hard evidence? Because what we need to address is the question, is the Sinovac vaccine really safe by international standards, World Health Organization, and whoever? Kasi pag hindi po, we will always have the second, we will always have doubts, second thoughts about this vaccine, and many Filipinos are going to start thinking, teka, maging choosy na lang kami. In any case, let's move forward. In other news, face-to-face classes have been approved, but only for medical programs. Yung mga magdudoktor lang, kasi kailangan nila makita talaga yung cadaver, makapagkaroon ng consultation, examination of patients. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas ordered banks and credit card companies to comply with the credit card moratorium, which seeks to grant temporary reprieve to delinquent borrowers. I don't know if we can find someone from the BSP kasi medyo complicated to. Parang ang gusto yata ng gobyerno, 1-month moratorium or 30 days reprieve. Kunya, kung dumating yung bill at hindi ka na makabayad, bigyan ka ng 30 days or something to that effect. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I will just point out this fact. When you were walking in the mall, people were all over you to get a credit card. Some of you got not only one, you got two, you got three. Some of you are using the first credit card to borrow, using the second credit card to pay for the first credit card, and the third to pay for the second credit card, etc., etc. Kami po sa Every Nation, sa Victory Christian Fellowship, I remember from the very start when we were just new in that church, our pastor, Steve Merrill, taught us one thing. Get the golden scissors, cut number 2 and number 3, and if you can live without a credit card, live without a credit card. I lived for 1.5 years in America without a credit card. Sabi ng mga kaibigan ko, you're crazy, you can't survive. I did. And the policy was simple. No cash, no carry. Okay, sige, punta na po tayo. Meanwhile, Court of Appeals Associate Justice Joseph Lopez is moving to the Supreme Court. Congratulations, sir. In sports, the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas has canceled the country's hosting of the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers this February due to the country's travel ban. Okay, medyo mahirap nga namang maging tawag nire, yung kayo ang magiging punong abala sa isang sitwasyon, pagkatapos hindi naman makakadaong yung eroplano o barko or whatever ng mga bisita natin. In any case, medyo ayun po, no, babasahin ko. May malungkot pong balita, and we just want to express our condolences to our friend MMDA Chairman Benjamin Benhar Abalos Jr., to former Mayor Abalos, Ben Abalos, and the Abalos family, kasi pumanaw na po si Ma'am Corazon, yung kanilang ina ng tahanan, pumanaw po because of COVID-19, nagkaroon yata ng infection. And we just want to express our condolences kasi alam nyo naman po na pagdating naman dito sa telebisyon ay laging bukas ang pintuan nila at lagi nila tayong tinatanggap. In any case, may the good Lord comfort you at this difficult time in your life. And our condolences go out to you. Okay, let's move forward to our program for today. First up, we have Congressman Carlo Zarate, representative of the Bayan Muna Party List. He is also a deputy minority leader at the lower house. Kanya ko po dinidiinan yung deputy minority floor leader kasi ironic dito sa Pilipinas yung sinasabing red tagging pero nagiging deputy minority floor leader. Tigilan na natin yung mga pulahan sa isa't isa. Congressman, good morning.
Good morning, Cito. It's good to see you again. No? I wish I could greet you a very prosperous at na mapagpalang 2021. But nonetheless, it's really good to see you. Magandang umaga or magandang gabi, whichever timeline na makikita tayo ngayon.
Okay, well, we are currently live and of course may replay mamayang hapon at 5:30. May mga nagdadabog nga kasi gusto nila 6 o'clock dahil makakadating na raw sila sa bahay at makakapanood. Naging 5:30. In any case, yes, it will be a prosperous new year as far as I'm concerned because our prosperity comes from the Lord. But speaking of prosperity, ito ang problema ko, Congressman. Parang masyado tayo nabababad sa vaccine and no one seems to realize we have a serious problem. Our problem is our food security and the unusually high prices of food. And balita ko, nagsalita ka na tungkol dito. Could you share your concerns with us?
Yes, Sito, dahil nga nung pagsalubong sa atin itong 2021, no, tama ka, no, na-focus tayo doon sa usapin ng pandemya ng COVID at itong kaakibat na issue ng bakuna. No? But remember, Sito, even before the advent of this COVID-19 pandemic, malaking problema na nga natin talaga yung food security. Tinamaan tayo ng maraming kalamidad sa food sector. No? Andyan yung ASF. No? And andyan pa yung bird flu. No? Tinamaan naman yung ating poultry industry. And even yung ating vegetable and even rice sector, tinamaan din yan, no? In the past year. So, meron na tayong crisis even before that. Mas pinalala pa nga nitong pandemya ng COVID. No, sa pagpasok nitong 2021, na-alarm ako Sito dahil tayo rin nang namamalengke, no? Talagang ang mahal-mahal na ng mga bilihin. And it appears na nasa middle na tayo ng, or in fact, malapit na tayo sa katapusan ng January, wala pa tayong nakikitang seryosong ginagawa, no? Ating gobyerno. No? At parang nag-aaway-away na lang itong mga consumers, producers, the farmers. No? And ang narinig lang natin uli na gagawin ng pamahalaan ay yun nga mag-impose ng price control or price freeze. No? Just like what they did last year in the middle of sa kasagsagan ng lockdown. At maging dito sa Luzon nung tumama yung sunod-sunod na bagyo. But ang sa tingin ko, Sito, ganoon na lang ba talaga palagi ang tugon natin? No? Price control, price freeze. No? Sa napakaraming pagdinig sa Kongreso, matagal na naming alam na ang problema natin, food security. No? Napakaraming panukala na. No? So ako naman, siguro as an immediate response to this problem, no? Nahihirapan na ating mga consumers. No? Dami pang walang trabaho ngayon, hindi nakabalik sa trabaho. Ang kilo ng baboy, for example, ay halos minimum wage na, no, ng isang ordinaryong magawa. So
what are your suggestions, Congressman?
Yeah, at in the immediate siguro Sito, yun ang naisipan ko, no. Why not the government impose or give a subsidy, no? That's like yung ginawa nito last year, no, na yung mga local governments, even the national government, no, binili nila yung produce ng ating mga farmers and producers at a subsidized price na nakabubuhay naman, then ibebenta ito doon sa ating mga consumers at also at a subsidized rate, no? Para maabot naman din ng ating mga consumers. Remember, gaya ng nabanggit mo, ang dami pa ngayong hindi nakabangon dahil sa naging epekto ng pandemya ng COVID, yung crisis, no? So hindi rin natin, kung sasabihin mo ang price control ang solusyon diyan, eh paano naman yung mga producers na sabi nila ang mahal-mahal din ng aming inputs dito. Binili namin ng mahal, no? So hindi pa kami magbebenta, no?
Oh, nasulat ko nga po yan doon sa column ko today sa Philippine Star na DID plus minus equal zero. Ang ibig ko sabihin, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Kasi to be fair with government, gumagawa sila ng paraan. Pero katulad mo, sinabi ko rin na pag price control ang ginawa mong sagot, okay sa mga mamimili, kawawa naman sa magsasaka o mga magbababoy or producers. You're hurting the producers, and in the long run, if we continue hurting the producers, lalo na ngayon with ASF, many of the producers are saying, kanya lang kami nananatiling sumusugal sa pagbababoy kasi okay ang kita. Pero pag hindi na okay ang kita at pwede pa kaming tamaan ng one-time, big time, wag na laang. So, okay. And so yun lang, no? Bine-mention ko na rin kasi I think we are aligned in that thought na it cannot just be about price control. You were talking about subsidy. Nasabi ko rin yan doon sa column. Pero in your version, what version do you have for subsidizing farmers and producers?
Well, for example, Cito, sinabi na rin dito ni Secretary Dar, we are in a state of calamity even since last year, no? So kung nasa state of calamity tayo, isang naisip ko lang, no? Immediately out of the box na naisip ko, why not tap the QRF, no? Quick Response Fund na nasa more than 6 billion yan, no? Then gaya ng ginawa last year nga, ito nabanggit ko lang na pwedeng ang mga mekanismo, isang mekanismo dyan, bilhin natin yung produce ng, at sabi ko nga, at a subsidized price, no? Hindi naman ito long term na ito na lang ang gagawin natin. Kasi
pansamantala.
Pansamantala habang ito nga ang mahal-mahal na, no?
Pero
nahihirapan lahat. No?
Pero Congressman, ito naman ang pinagtataka ko, no? Kasi doon sa sinulat kong column, sabi ko, kung gusto nating ayusin to, kailangan i-rehabilitate natin yung livestock industry, i-rehabilitate natin yung agriculture. Bakit naman sa Congress, at nilalahat ko na, no? Why is it that in Congress, every time William Dar goes to Congress for budgets, he asks for X billion and you only give him maybe 20 or 30% of what he asked for, and then everybody complains if the agriculture sector can't deliver?
Actually, Sito, ganito yan. No? Sabi ko nga systemic yan. Tama ka, I agree with you 100%. Kailangang pagtuunan talaga natin ang ating sektor ng agrikultura. No? Kung gusto natin yung usapin ng food security ay mapaniguro natin dahil yan yung malaking leksyon nitong pandemya ng COVID. Hindi tayo pwedeng umasa na lang sa ibang bansa, no? Sa imported. Dahil sila rin pag tinamaan, uunahin din nila ang sarili nila. So paano tayo, no? Tama ka, no? Pero bakit hanggang ngayon ang budget ng agrikultura pagdating ng taunang budget ay maswerte na kung aabot ng 2% yan sa buong budget natin.
Yeah.
Pero remember, Sito, ang panukalang ito nagmumula sa ehekutibo, no? Kami sa Kongreso ay dinidebatihan, may mga realignments, but mainly galing sa executive yan. Tinanong rin namin yan, may panukala ang DA pero pagdating sa DBM natatapyasan ito, no? Dahil iba ang priority. Sa tingin ng DBM, may mga priorities ang ibang departments. So, kaya systemic ito. Kung hanggat hindi natin talaga binibigyan ng tamang prioridad ang agricultural sector natin, agricultural sector. At habang walang thoroughgoing na pagbabago, kahit na doon sa usapin ng reforma sa lupa, no? At yung support natin sa ating lokal na industriya, babalik, it's a cycle, no? Ganito na lang palagi.
Can you guys not make a law? Hindi ba kayo pwedeng gumawa ng batas na nagsusulong ng isang plano or program? Parang, di ba noon, World War II, meron silang the Marshall Plan.
Yes, yes.
Tayo ngayon, para na rin tayong tinamaan ng World War III. Wala lang talagang nagre-recognize that we are in a bad shape. And pag nakinig nga ako dito sa mga economist na to, baka madismaya na ako, magkubli na lang ako sa manukan ko eh. But
Mm.
can Congress not come up if the executive is failing or is prioritizing other things? Can you guys not come up with a law and a program?
Well, sa kabahagi ng Kongreso, Sito, no, hindi naman siguro nakukulangan. In fact, nung tumama nga itong COVID-19, no, nagkaroon ng mga adjustments, tuloy-tuloy naman yung mga hearing kahit na virtually, via Zoom, no. Ang daming mga stimulus package na pinopose, no, doon sa Kongreso. In fact, kami nagpanukala, may tinawag kaming shield, no, that will not only in the short term but in the long term will address yung mga issues including food security. But again, Sito, yun nga ang problema, no, magkakaiba ang priorities ng executive, ng legislative, no. Sasabihin ng economic managers, we can only work with this much amount for an economic stimulus, but tuloy-tuloy pa rin kung titingnan mo yung historic budget natin next year, it's almost.
Pero hindi ba because you have the power of the purse na gagawa ng Congress na sinasabi, oy, kayong mga nasa executive, eto, dadagdagan namin yung budget na yan, pero wag na wag kayong magkakamaling pakialaman yan o bawasan yan. Dapat matuloy yan. I mean, I've heard this from congressmen in the past. Di ba pwede yun? Kasi nakakatakot na ito, Congressman Zarate. Wala na itong politika. Walang pinipiling politika ang gutom at pagbagsak ng agrikultura.
I agree with you, Sito, no, dapat ganun nga, no, dahil nga ideally, theoretically, Congress holds the power of the purse, no?
Yeah.
But in reality, yung purse na yan, Sito, coin purse na lang yan, ano? And
Barya na lang.
Barya-barya na lang. And even that, especially during this administration, napakalakas talaga ng hatak, ano, ng executive, no? Na kailangan kung ano yung priorities nila, ayun pa rin ang masusunod. Yun nung mga engagement namin in fact in this recent budget deliberation, no, na parang hindi nangyari yung pandemya ng COVID, hindi naman nagbago ang priorities ng administration, no? Busy. Yung sabi nila before COVID, no? So tinutuloy-tuloy lang din nila yung mga grandiose projects nila na sa tingin namin dapat nakatuon na tayo dito, na-realign yung priorities na yan in line with the problem. Sabi natin, number one problem ngayon itong crisis na pinalala ng pandemya ng COVID.
Do you have any idea, nasilip ba ninyo kung magkano ang kinakabig ng national government from the agriculture sector compared to magkano ang binibigay o ini-invest ng executive sa agriculture sector? Kasi parang ang impression ko, no, and baka I hope mali ako, sana mali ako, parang kaliwat kanan ang taxes, etc., tax sa traffic, tax sa gasolina, tax sa inputs, etc. Pero parang sabi ko, parang mas malaki pa kabig yata ng gobyerno kaysa sa pakawalan nila sa agriculture.
Well, tama kasi ito. I don't have the exact figures now, but ang kontribusyon ng agrikultura natin, di hamak na malaki talaga. No? Pero yung binabalik sa sektor na yan ay napakaliit. No? Gaya nga lang sabi ko, dapat ang magiging foundation ng isang bansang katulad natin, na sabi natin, agricultural country pa naman din tayo, no? For all intents and purposes. Dapat nare-reflect yan doon sa budget. No? Na dapat malaki talaga yung budget natin sa ating sektor na yan. No? Huwag na muna natin pag-usapan paano ba ginugugol kasi malaking debate ito, no? Yung budget, kahit ito na lang yung budget ng agriculture, ang prioritization din saan napupunta. So, yun sana ang ating talagang panawagan ngayon, no? Kasi sabi ko nga kanina, it's a vicious cycle mangyayari at
Mhm.
mangyayari uli itong nangyayari ngayon na halos prohibitive na yung prices of goods, no, especially yung mga basic goods na pagkain, no. So saan
Mhm.
tayo papunta nito, Sito, no? So parang ang nangyayari nga
Ma
ngayon, day-to-day survival.
Okay, Congressman, inatake niyo na ba niyo? I don't like to use the word attack, but I think it has to be. Parang inatake na ba natin o tinalakay na ba natin? Kasi yung umiiral na pag-iisip sa mga local governments, ano, lalo na sa probinsya.
Mm,
Maraming local governments pilit. They insist on urbanization. Kumbaga, no, gusto nila urbanization, and then pag nagtatanong ako, bakit? Kasi
mm,
Sito, pag nag-urbanize kami, nag-highly urbanized city, naging syudad kami, yung taxes, yung
mm,
makukuha namin, mas malaki. Pero ang kapalit, yung mga magsasaka, magbababoy, magmamanok, parang dahan-dahan, hindi na nga dahan-dahan, lantaran ng pinalalayas doon
mm.
sa mga urbanized
Yes.
na lugar na gano'n. May nagsabi sa akin, Sito, alam mo, issue ng land use
Mm,
law. Kayo, last question ko na lang,
mm.
Congressman. Meron bang grupo diyan sa Congress na pinag-aaralan itong malaking pagkakamali, as you said, in an agricultural country?
Yes, may mga iba't ibang panukalang batas diyan Sito, no, na gustong matingnan rin ito. In fact, magkakahalo-halo 'yan kaya merong iba panawagan pa may kailangan bumalik na daw sa probinsya, pero paano kang bumalik sa probinsya kung wala ding incentives doon, no, for you
Hmm.
to go back to the province. Kasi 'yan nga tama yung sinabi mo, yung urbanization, well, okey naman 'yan para umunlad ang isang bansa, pero kailangan planado 'yan, 'no? Hindi puwedeng
Hmm.
lahat doon papunta, 'no? Kasi
Hmm.
kung wala namang industriya papatayin mo naman ang isang industriya just for the purpose na you will be called an urbanized area, and that will
Hmm.
defeat the purpose, 'no? Dahil ang malaking main problem pa rin natin ngayon sa bansa, especially ngayon, yung paano ba mapaniguro yung ating sources of food, no? And
Hmm.
even yung ating kabuhayan. So again, babalik at babalik siya doon sa ano ba ang dapat i-prioritize natin. Especially in a situation like this, no, na tinamaan tayo ng siguro in our lifetime, ngayon lang natin naranasan na matinding krisis, Sito.
Okay. Well, Congressman, thank you very much for joining us this morning, and babantayan po natin ang mga nangyayari sa Kongreso. I hope you will take the lead kasi we need to rebuild our agriculture, at alam niyo po, masama ang sitwasyon. Hindi ko na lang i-sensationalize, ano? Pero pag ang baboy ay 400,
Yes,
pagkatapos ang namamasukan ng arawan, magkano ba? 500 o
500.
550? eh ano pa kakainin nila. Thank you very much for joining us, Congressman Zarate.
Always an honor, Sito. Magandang umaga rin at mabuhay ka. Salamat din.
Okay. Yan po si Congressman Carlos Caloy Zarate. Babalik po tayo after this quick reminders, and next up we have Rosendo So para pag-usapan naman natin yung kanilang grupo, yung concern ng grupo nila, because alam niyo po, napapag-usapan natin yung baboy, hog prices. Ayan po, no, I will bring this closer. Ayan po, no, mga baboy, bangkay ng mga baboy, lumutang na lang sa may Oriental Mindoro, sa Pampang. 29 dead pigs floating into the shore, landing in the shores of Oriental Mindoro. Kumbaga, tinamaan siguro yan ng piste, nilaglag sa ilog, dinala ng ilog sa dagat, ayun, napunta sa probinsya. Anyway, we will be speaking with Mr. Cham and Mr. So right after this quick break. Okay, you're back here on the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and joining us now together, for the first time, sana tayo ay magkasundo-sundo ng solusyon. The chairman ng Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura or SINAG, Mr. Rosendo So, and the president of the Meat Importers and Traders Association or MITA, Mr. Jesus Cham. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, for the first time, gentlemen, mukhang we have a common enemy and the common enemy is food security. Wala na tayong pamimilian and we need to address this problem because it's hurting the Filipino people and it will only get worse if we don't get our act together. Mr. Rosendo So, what is your situation as far as your members are concerned and ano ang biggest concern ninyo as far as food security is concerned?
Of course, ang concern natin yung pork, no? Yung chicken, medyo concern na rin tayo ngayon dahil malaki ang drop din ng yung nag-aalaga. Maraming huminto dahil last year we imported around 400 million kilos, no? So, yung sa chicken, mga October, November, December time, nag-cut down yung mga local racer. Kaya nakita natin na talagang tumaas ang presyo ngayon. No? Yung sa baboy naman, alam naman natin yung sa ASF, malaki ang naapektuhan, Manong Cito. Yung dito sa Luzon, mga 70% of mga hog racer nawala. And nationwide, mga around 45%. Ganong kalaki. Yung hinihingi pa rin natin is yung first border kay Secretary William Dar na ma-install na kasi yung mga dumadating dito sa ating bansa, yung etong mga produkto, no, pork, chicken, and agri product, walang pagsusuri dito sa ating bansa. Yung ibang bansa kasi, kagaya ng China, pag nag-export tayo ng saging, sinecheck nila kung may bacteria or may sakit. Yung chicken na pumunta sa China rin from Belgium, nakita nila na may COVID contamination. So, yun din ang gusto natin. Dito sa ating bansa, dapat may borders tayo. Pero up to now, wala pa yun.
Borders. Okay. Now, as far as the producers and your members are concerned, kasi siyempre, pinoproblema na nung iba yung importer, yung importation naman is the quick solution in a very serious shortage. Now, as far as your producer members are concerned, what can the Department of Agriculture extend? Kasi kanina sa usapan namin ni Congressman Zarate, he's essentially pushing what I also suggested, subsidies for the producers. Kumbaga, bigyan natin sila ng subsidy for producing para yung presyo na pagbenta sa mga consumer mas mababa. Do you have any other ideas or suggestions?
Long term, tama yun. No? Ngayon, immediate is hiningi natin kay Secretary yung ang dumadating kasi ng Metro Manila is from Gensan, General Santos, and Bisaya, no? Nakita naman natin yung barko may tinapon na tawag ito, namatay na baboy. So, yung mga mortality na ganun, ina-add nila sa cost, no? Dapat bawal dapat yun itapon dun sa dagat, pero yun nga nangyari, nagtapon sila, may namatay dun sa shipment. So ang inaano natin is 6 months ago, sinabi na natin kay Secretary yan, pag walang support dun sa mga dumadating, tataas at tataas yan. No?
Okay.
And dapat yun, i-subsidize yung transport siguro para at least masuportan Metro Manila. Kasi
Okay.
yung transport costs medyo mataas.
Okay, now, Mr. Jesus Cham, Just Cham, I read in the papers that the importers are trying to push for tax-free or maalis yung mga tax sa importation. I know that the DA already increased the total volume of importation for hogs particularly. What is your situation and how can you help in solving the problem on a short term and on a long term?
Well, the problem is not short term because the, we have experienced shortages occasionally and it was getting more and more frequent. So that in 2018, I recall the proposal to do tax-free, duty-free did not come from us, although we advocated it, but it came from the economic managers because they were seeing that the price of food was becoming unaffordable to the consumers. So, okay, that was then. That was even before ASF. Now today we have ASF, and we had already pointed out to the government that the ASF is not a simple disease to eradicate because it took Spain, I think, 30 years to eradicate ASF, and it needed a lot of technology and a lot of monetary help from the European Union. So when ASF came into the Philippines, it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen. So now we are facing a situation wherein I'm sure even Mr. So will agree that the recovery cannot happen within 5 years. If Spain, being an EU country, needed 30 years, we will take much longer than that. So now, the problem now is not a short-term problem, it is a long-term problem. We will be experiencing pork deficits for many, many years to come. So the solution, which applied then, applies even more now. We need to bring down the cost of food. And one of the big costs in that plays in our landed cost is the import duty, which is 30% in quota and 40% out quota. Now, we had said to the NEDA that if you reduce import duty by 10% nominal, then at $3 a kilo for pork, for example, then at 50 pesos for the exchange rate, we are talking 150 peso cost. Then we can reduce the price by 15 pesos for 10%. Now, this cost is not a theoretical cost; it is an absolute cost, and it can be passed on to the consumer immediately. If they reduce the import duty to zero, then the landed cost will come down by easily from, let's say, 30 to 45%, 30 to 45 pesos or more, for depending on the cut of pork. Now, this can be passed on to the consumers immediately. What we need to do is that we need to link up the retail end so that if they agree to maintain the SRP below 300, I think that is a possibility for certain cuts of pork.
Okay, now, Mr. Rosendo So, ang tanong ko, no, so I would happily support the proposition or the assessment of Mr. Cham because it will be beneficial to the consumer. But I'm also concerned with the producer because believe it or not, I don't agree that price control is the solution. Yes, temporarily it may take the pressure off the national government, but on the long term, what can the Department of Agriculture and the Executive Department, anong pwede nilang gawin na direct benefits to producers, yung magbababoy, magmamanok, yung maggugulay. Napapag-usapan nyo yan, I'm sure. What concrete solutions do you have?
Yeah, one is yung tariff collection na will go to the hog sector, no? Kasi wala tayong yung budget, hindi kagaya ng rice, no? Yung nakukuha ng rice, binibigay sa rice sector. Yung sa baboy or sa manok, kinokolekta yan pero linalagay sa national government. So ang gusto natin sana, Yun ang susunod natin na ginagawang batas na yung tax collection, itong tariff na mapupunta sa atin na sektor ng mga animal industry, no? Ibig sabihin, hindi
Livestock.
lang baboy, lahat na yan, no? Contrary to what Jess is saying, na yung tariff is malaki kaya mataas ang presyo, no? We have custom record na lumalabas, no? Lahat yun sinama rin namin. Ito yung presenta natin sa Senado at sa Kongreso. Ang lumalabas na meat nila plus tariff 40% is 117 pesos per kilo. Tapos nakikita natin sa supermarket, they are selling 430, no? So ang tanong dyan 4 times dun sa presyo ng import nila. Kasi yung computation ng custom, kasama na yung alastre, stevedoring, unloading, plus yung 40% tax. Yun lang lumalabas, no? 117 pesos. So,
Well, let's Rosendo, let's be careful. No, gentlemen, okay? I want a good discussion, not an argument. So I'll follow what you said, Rosendo. Lumalabas 117. Okay, outside of the port, ibang problema na yan. Pero ang sinasabi mo, kung anumang nako-collect na tariff dyan sa mga meat importers, dapat ibigay sa livestock industry. Dahil
yes.
hindi napupunta sa inyo. Napupunta lang sa mga sa General Appropriations Fund. No? Okay, so that's one. Si Jess naman, the group of Jess are essentially pushing for lower tariffs because it will directly bring down the prices. So I think we both have both positive, okay? Ano pa ang pwedeng gawin? Mr. Cham, what else can be done? Kasi I know this I used to produce pork until tinamaan ako ng ASF. Pag binibili yung baboy, backyard naman ako talaga, napakababa. Pero biglang malalaman mo, yung biyahero, pinasa rin sa isang consolidator na dinala naman sa Manila, patay ka na. Kaya sabi ko, wag na lang kayo magbenta, kainin na lang natin, lugi tayo dyan. No? So, what other options are there? Because I was saying, Rosendo, na, aside from the subsidy, dapat may access to better materials, genetic material, dapat may access to education program, discounted equipment, etc.
Yeah, Ma'am Cito, ang problema natin, no? Ang ASF, sinabi naman ng international, it will stay on a frozen meat up to 300 days. Kung yung dumadating dito sa ating bansa, may contaminated na dumating at na-distribute dun sa ground, mahirap talagang pumasok yung mga hog raiser dito sa pangbababoy, no? Kasi matatamaan lang ulit. Kaya takot lahat ngayon.
Okay.
But if the government will be strict, no?
Yeah.
On the borders natin, maski ilang pinasok nila, wala naman tayong question.
Okay.
Hindi natin pina-question yung pagpasok nila. Ang gusto lang natin, to have a test.
Just what is the real situation? And I can see the grin on your face, but let's try to keep cool on this. What is the real situation when you guys or your members or other groups import pork? Talaga bang may deficiency ang testing? Are there really laboratories? Because I know that when we got hit by ASF, I was told it would take weeks for our samples to be tested because lahat ng magbababoy kailangan magpa-test before they can sell their pork or their hogs locally. What about you? What is your trials or your process?
Ganito po yun. Lahat ng sources na ini-import po natin, ay galing sa mga bansa at mga planta na aprobado ng Philippine government. Sa WTO po, we have what we call a SPS agreement, sanitary and phytosanitary agreement. There is this thing, and then there's also an agreement in the agreement on agriculture about the principle of equivalency. So this means the Philippines, we send our experts and MIS BAI to, let's say, a country like USA. So they look at the USA system and they determine na, they have a good system, their system is equivalent to our system. So it means that they deputize, they recognize that they are equivalent. So when the USA issues a health certificate, sila po nag-inspect, sila nag-issue ng health certificate. So pagdating po dito sa atin, it means this shipment has been pre-inspected. So you don't need to do another inspection because now we see this is repetition, and this repetition only dagdag gastos sa importer, which pass on to the mamimili.
Okay, Jess, hold everything, guys. Rosendo, commercial lang ako and then let's carry on. Kasi may tatanong ako meron bang travel ban yung mga baboy na galing sa mga infected areas sa Pilipinas? Okay, we'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, you're back here on Agenda, and with us are Rosendo So of Sinag and Jess Cham of MITA, or Meat Importers Traders Association. Okay, gentlemen, ang tanong, meron bang travel ban ang Pilipinas sa meat products from countries that are known to have ASF? Kasi maraming mga bansa na may ASF din. Do we have such a principle?
Yes.
Meron, no? Bali, meron. Pero ang Manong Cito, yung may nangyari kasi sa Cebu, may dumating from Belgium na meat, no? This was 2019. And pumunta na dun sa city area. Etong city vet, tines yung meat, no, from I think from Belgium, and it came out positive. Ang nangyari, si Secretary Manny Piñon, kinonfront yung countries. Bakit ganon? You are negative, tapos may dumating na positive. The country admitted na nakakuha sila sa Poland, and yun ang nadala rito sa ating bansa.
Yeah, but that was like what, 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember because we discussed the same thing on the show. And you and Jess were also the guests. So medyo okay, Jess, you wanted to say something.
Yes, I just want to refresh the memory of Rosendo, because this product, this container, did not come from Belgium. It came from Germany. Okay, and in this container, they found a few boxes of Polish pork. Okay, and the pork was never tested and never found positive. Okay, now here's the deal. Ganito po yun. In Europe, they practice regionalization of the ban on ASF. So if there's a infection in a certain area, they will isolate a certain area. So let's say 10, 50 kilometers, and the products from that area are not allowed to enter the food chain.
Okay. So may travel ban.
Yes.
Okay.
But other areas in Poland are still being sold within Europe. So
Okay.
Germany also buys Polish pork that are Malini certified with a health certificate.
Okay, Jess, allow me to cut in, because I don't want this, Rosendo, to become a discussion on ASF, no? I want it to be a discussion on food security. Ngayon, Rosendo, you mentioned sana the taxes that the members of MITA and the food processor, the PAMPI ba yun or something, could be given, channeled to the producers of livestock. That's a great idea. Is it possible for your group, Rosendo, and the group of Jess, na to cooperate where the importers can say to the local manufacturers, we will help you under the umbrella of the DA to rebuild the livestock industry, particularly the hog and chicken, para hindi na kailangan naming bumili abroad. I mean, guys, we're all Filipinos in the room, okay? And at the end of the day, mamamatay tayo and we will be accountable to God if we loved our country and our people instead of giving away our wealth to other countries. I'm sorry, no, I'm being patriotic here, but I'm serious about it. Can you guys actually work together?
Well,
Yeah,
well,
for the past year, marami naman pag-uusap, no? But of course, ang mga importer, they want yung may special cut na in which kung nakikita natin import, mga 80% na dumadating dito, yung mga portion na hindi kinakain or parang yung mga prime cut kasi kinakain
Yeah, Rosendo,
other countries.
yeah, I hope pasensya na, Rosendo, no,
Yeah.
because I only have a few minutes left.
Yeah.
But we already talked about that before COVID, yung mga prime cuts, yung mga pinagagamit sa processing. But I'm talking about the industry, the livestock industry and the imports. I mean, can we work together na sabihin na, okay, let's rebuild the industry on a long-term goal para matigil na yung importation and mas maraming Pilipinong ma-employ, bumaba ang presyo, etc. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, how much more money do businessmen need? And then, at the end of the day, ang daming Pilipino walang trabaho. Jess, can you guys take the first step and say, can we go to the Department of Agriculture and say, we need to rebuild the livestock industry?
well, as early as 2004, we already took the initiative, and in 2004, under Secretary Lorenzo, we formed a swine board wherein the importers and the traders and the hog producers were part of the board. And my association spearheaded the effort. We went to 4 areas and we started showing them how to cut and freeze and box
Okay.
pork.
You also said that in a previous interview. Sorry, I have the memory of an elephant. Can we put our money on the table, meaning the meat importers are willing to give X% of our profit or whatever or money annually to the producers para makatulong. Parang alam mo na, parang a subsidy or a grant to the producers para it's an act of goodwill. Can you guys do that?
Well, anything can be discussed.
Mhm.
It's a depends on the long-term relationship. Yes, it can be
Mhm.
discussed. Why not? But just to mention it, that we already have the Agricultural Competitive Enhancement Fund,
Mhm.
wherein all the import duties that are collected for the quota items go to this fund, and these funds are supposed to be used to help the sector. And this was the fund that was where the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund was patterned after. So it's
Ayun.
depends. They have to use the funds judiciously. That's all
Okay.
that they.
Okay. Well, I do hope that you guys can sit down, have coffee, have merienda, and maybe when you're full, you will be more pleasant. And okay naman, pareho kayong Filipino-Chinese, di ba? My point is this. We saw how the big corporations in 2020 stepped up, sacrificially gave, sacrificially helped, and it was because they had a patriotic duty and they had a corporate social responsibility. And I am just praying sincerely, Mr. Cham, Mr. So, na we can do something, because if we don't, we are all going to end up just buying our food stuff from abroad, and we are going to have problems. In any case, I pray to God that He gives you wisdom, He gives you temperance, patience, and goodwill for each other, and prosperity in 2021. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Manong Sito.
Okay. Thank you, Rosendo. Thank you, Ms. Jess, and God bless both of you. Okay. I just have to put that there. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the gentlemen representing a very vital sector in our food security. And alam niyo po mga kaibigan, I wrote about this. And I wrote about it in the Philippine Star today. DID plus slash minus equals zero. And yun po, damned if you do, damned if you don't. The Department of Agriculture, if they don't use the price control mechanism, uh, they will be damned by the consumers. Mumurahin sila ng mga mamamili. Pero in doing the price control, mumurahin naman sila ng mga magsasaka, ng mga producers. And I said that in the long run, price control will hurt the producers. And right now, alam niyo po, parami ng parami, more and more producers, especially in the hog industry, are opting out. Kasi nga, marami kang baboy, tamaan ka ng ASF, meron akong alam na isang farm, 6,000 in 3 days, ubos. They had to kill all because of ASF. Excuse me. Now, pagka ganon, people don't want to take the risk. I know of someone, he had 150 heads of inahin, sows, and pinababa na lang niya to 50. Kasi sabi niya, pag tayo na one time, big time, bankrupt tayo. So that's what they've been doing. Now, we need to find a way to rebuild our livestock industry. We need to subsidize the producers so that they can sell at a more affordable price to the consumer, kayong mga mamimili. And bakit? Kasi kung binibigyan naman ng gobyerno ng subsidy, ginawa ito sa America and other countries, they help the farmers because the intention is not a dole out. The intention is to stabilize the food cost. Kasi kung meron po tayong renewed, revitalized agriculture and livestock industry, what will happen is our food prices go down and we can eat better and we're healthier. And the money we save will then go to paying for other things, like paying for the rent, paying for clothes, or paying for medicine. Kasi marami po ngayon, tinitipid na lang ang gamot, tinitipid ang gamot nila para lang makakain. And that shouldn't be the case. So I'm asking all of you out there, I don't care what people say. Si Cito, parang gusto pa niyang maging mentor or whatever. I don't care what people say. This is food security, and it is our children who are going to suffer. So please pray that all the players can get together, from the President, Secretary Dar, Congress, Senate, and the players, na we can finally come together and let's come up with a plan. and do a program. Thank you for joining us today. I encourage all of you to pray, and more than anything, be grateful. Thank God. In everything that you have, thank God. And I know that God is going to recognize that and bless you. Good day. That's Agenda for today.